My dad grew up in a tiny little chaotic house in the small city of Hamilton, Ohio. He lived there with his 12 brothers and sisters, his mom, his dad, grandma, grandpa, sometimes Uncle Joe if he was coming through town. It was the Depression, and they didn't have much. My grandfather was a preacher of the fire and brimstone variety, so they definitely didn't have much. They had a lot of dishes, a lot of dirty dishes, and my dad, to hear it told, was responsible for drying them after every meal. For the last 20 or so years, my husband and I have owned an old farmhouse up in the Hudson Valley. And my parents used to visit us there with great regularity, several times a year for many, many years. And it was on the last such visit with my dad that he stopped as we were heading upstairs for the night. He stopped at the bottom of those back stairs and he looked around our kitchen and he said, "I think I grew up here. Yes, it is exactly as I remember it." I remember sky. It was blue as ink. Or at least I think I remember sky. I remember snow, soft as feathers, sharp as thumbtacks, coming down like lint. And it made you squint when the wind would blow. And ice like vinyl on the streets, cold as silver, white as sheets, rain like strings and changing things like leaves. I remember leaves, green as spearmint, crisp as paper. I remember trees, bare as coat racks, spread like broken umbrellas, and ponds and bridges, parks and zoos, ruddy faces, muddy shoes, lights and noise and bees and boys and days. I remember days, or at least I try. As the years go by, they're a sort of haze, and the bluest ink isn't really sky. And sometimes I think I would gladly die for a day of sky. It was after that evening that evenings were about to become a dreaded time for our family. For my mom, it was a time of great anxiety. For my dad, heightened confusion. Those of you who have dealt with people with dementia have probably experienced similar things. As the sun goes down, their symptoms heighten. My dad often wanted to go home, even though he was living in the home, in our home, that he and my mom had built 40 years earlier. But often he was talking about that little tiny chaotic house in the small city of Hamilton, Ohio. Other times I think he was just speaking metaphorically of a place where order had been restored. Night made their worlds smaller and harder to discern. Night slips out from the woods, looking around for all the good stuff. Colors, flowers, crops in the field, she extinguishes them all. The silver in the stream, the copper on the roof, even the gold. I'm afraid she'll steal you from me too. Aus dem Walde tritt die Nacht, aus den Bäumen schleicht sie leise, schaut sich in weitem Kreise, nun gebucht. Alle Lichter dieser Welt, alle Farben löscht sie aus. Und stillt die Garben weg vom Feld. Alles nimmt sie, was nur holt, nimmt das Silberweg des Trubs, nimmt vom Kupferduck des Tubs, legt das Gold. Ausge